Hey everybody. So I'm Leanne from Pet Biz Experts, and I run a CRM software company for dog trainers, and we do lots of cool coaching and help them manage their leads and help them capture, nurture, and close more customers. And we have this amazing podcast that I started, and I'm so excited because today we have Bobbie Lyons joining us, and I just want to hear the story of how you got into canine conditioning and some gold nugget tips that you're going to have for dog trainers. Maybe we could share at the end too, because you just have built this amazing empire. So welcome, Bobbie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. So I would love to hear about how you got started in canine conditioning. Maybe share a little bit about like what you do now, and then we can dive into like how you got there, or how it started.
All right. Well, I guess that's probably going to be one of my biggest nuggets for dog trainers in general is I don't have all my eggs in one basket. I'm a faculty member for the Karen Pryor Academy, and I teach and certify dog trainers who are coming through the program. I also have my own certification program for canine fitness, which is the Canine Strength and Conditioning program that is accredited through North Carolina State University. So I teach for that. I teach online classes and online and in-person private lessons. So I have a lot of baskets.
A lot of baskets. That's excellent advice, though. That's definitely excellent advice. So, and I
Well,
love that certification for dog trainers.
yeah. So the Karen Pryor program basically teaches people how to capture and shape behavior using, successive approximations for shaping, and that's what the program teaches. A lot of people think that it is against luring or it's against other things, and really it's not against luring. It's just we're not teaching luring in the program. We're teaching capturing and shaping. So, so that's kind of, one of the things that I hear a lot is, KPA doesn't like luring. And I'm like, it's not actually true. It's just, that's not what we're teaching. So, those programs are, you know, like they float in and out of my life, if that makes sense. Like I have students for 6 months and then they have, their final assessments and then those students, go away, but I might actually have, like an online group, my group in Dublin, California, and then a group that's in Portland, all running at the same time. So I'm juggling those, and then I do travel to North Carolina once or twice a year to teach the CSCC,
Okay.
which is the certification program for fitness. I travel to Korea as well to teach both
Wow.
the Karen Pryor program and the CSCC. I've been traveling to Korea now for a few years, teaching fitness. I have clients that literally came over and took a weekend class from me and went back to Korea and created the first dog fitness center in Seoul. And they've been my clients ever since. So I
That's
either meet with them
incredible.
online or I'm over there in person.
And
So
CSCC, right?
yep. So certified canine strength and conditioning coach.
And can you share a little bit? We'll dive in maybe in a bit, but just a little bit about what that is.
So the program teaches you how to design fitness programs for dogs and how to do the training that is involved. I am a big proponent of teaching the dog how to do each of the exercises versus not that we don't lure, but I want them to, if I want them to place their foot on something and put weight on it, I want the lure to be shifting their weight. But I want to be able to tell the dog, put your foot here or put your foot there or stand on this thing or stand on that thing. And I want the lure or my position to affect the weight shifting, but not have to jockey the dog into position, right?
Yep.
So many clients used to complain to me all the time. It took me 10 minutes to get my dog's rear feet and front feet on the thing, and then the exercise I actually wanted them to do would get lost
Yeah.
because they're frustrated. And so in comes targeting. I'm like, well, let's just teach them where to put their feet, and then, and then go from there. And it really has made a huge difference to my clients, and especially to my sporting dogs, because, if you think about just a high drive dog, if they're just following a lure and they're not paying any attention to their feet, imagine the process that it would take to get them to put their front feet on one object and their rear feet on another object. A really good example is I work with law enforcement dogs, and they do everything from heel position. So I'm like, let's get your dog to stand on these two platforms. And they will put their dog in heel position and then walk around in a circle, try to like guide their dog on. And then they go, oh, we missed, go again and go again and go again. And I would just be like, if we could just teach them to do it, then that would be better. But anyway, so my program is very much not just about the fitness exercises, but how to get the dog to do it. And also to teach people what are you looking for? Like, is it just about doing a down stand on a couple of things? Or is there a specific way they should do it? Is there a specific way they should stand before they start doing it to maximize the muscle engagement that we're getting? And that's really how that program is put together. I was part of the group that originally put together the CCFT program, which is the certified CCF, Certified Canine Fitness Trainer, through the University of Tennessee. And that program started out as the FitPaws Master Trainer program, and then we merged with the Tennessee program. I taught that from 2015 until 3 or 4 years ago when I started the CCF or CSCC. And I wanted to be able to. So the CCFT program through the UT was not my program. I contributed, but it was not my program. And so I didn't necessarily agree with everything that we taught. It wasn't like so far off base that I couldn't teach it. It was just not how I would do it. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't make it wrong. It just wasn't how I wanted to do it. And then, so when they did not want to teach online, they really felt that in person was the only option. And I really wanted to be able to reach more people. And I was approached to design the program, and I kind of went kicking and screaming. I'm not going to lie, because it's a big responsibility. And it was a lot of work to put it together. And, but, I'm really glad that I did it, because if I'm going to affect how canine fitness goes forward, I needed to.
And how did you get started in all this? I hear it's a dog named Force.
It is. He was an amazing dog. He was a Border Collie Aussie Cross, who was also a very tense dog. I was told by many veterinarians that he should never be jolted awake, like from like a doorbell or somebody, and because he just would tense up every single muscle in his body, and it just worked against him. And he wasn't jumping as well as he could. Like, he understood the job, and the dog would do amazing things to keep bars up, but it wasn't jumping really well. Like, he got over the bar, but it wasn't awesome.
Okay, I've seen those dogs.
So I wanted to help him use his body better and fully extend his legs over a jump and not be tense all the time, and try to put different movements into his body so that he would move more fluently. He was very, I guess one of the things I always think of with Force is my my shepherd, or what was he? He was a golden retriever flat coat cross. When he moved through mud, he didn't have any on him. He barely skimmed the top of it, right? Like, barely put any prints in the mud or whatever. Forrest came back with mud all over him. He hit, he hit the ground hard. There was mud everywhere. And that's the difference in how they moved, right? And so just trying to get him to be a little bit more pleasant to his body so that he wasn't going to be in pain the rest of his life was really my goal. I started out thinking about going down the route of massage, and I actually have arthritis in my thumb, so that was not going to work out for me anyway. But I looked at a lot of different things, and then I started doing some exercises with him, kind of based on rehab, kind of like the way everybody used to start fitness, and then adjusting those exercises as I watched him move, and as I watched him change because of the exercises, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got started, and I ended up offering some lessons and some workshops for free, and then eventually did private lessons on a pretty regular basis, and one day decided I wanted to teach online. So I contacted Daisy Peel, and I was like, "Hey, Daisy, I want to teach online. How do I do that?"
Well,
And
she's a good one to ask because she's built a digital empire.
yeah. So she was like, "Just rent space on my site," and I was like, "Okay, easy, done."
Like on
We had
her
that conversation
website?
in January 2011, and by the first week of, or sorry, December 2011, by the first week of January, I was teaching online.
So
Was
you
that
mean
fast?
rented space on her site, like on her website?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I just paid her a
Smart.
percentage to be on the site, and
Amazing.
fortunately, I had a lot of clientele already, and so I brought a lot of clientele with me. We shared some clientele, but I would say there was a lot of people that came just for fitness. So it worked out really great for both of us, actually.
Wow. So
So
yeah, you got into all of this by accident because
kind of,
force, and that's the amazing thing I love about like when we have our dogs and then they help us to evolve into becoming trainers and learning about raw food and all these things
all the
because
things. Yeah.
maybe they're sick or we learn something and it shapes our sometimes career. So that's wonderful.
Yep. This is a picture of him behind me here on the
Aww.
wall. It's a painting that a Portland artist contacted me and found this picture online through, oh, there was a social media thing that was, I think it was called PDX Dog, maybe. Anyway, she found it on there, and she asked permission to paint him, and she
Aww.
sent me the print. So now I have the print forever. So
And I saw on your website that you can purchase different courses,
mhm.
different membership levels. I saw like kind of an independent course I could purchase on maybe body awareness and
Yep,
conditioning for healing, which I
yep,
wanted to learn more about that one because we always love for the dogs to have these beautiful, prancy, high
mhm.
necked heel. And definitely there's probably a lot of good conditioning that you could suggest for that.
A lot of people don't realize how physically demanding long healing patterns are. So they're actually very hard on the dog's lower back, and if their lower back is not really strong, then it can cause them some discomfort over time. So one of my main goals with healing is to make sure that the dog can or has the strength for it, number one, and then is engaging the right muscles when they're in movement, so that so that they don't have issues with their back later.
And I always was thinking about the neck because they have to hold their neck up if you're doing like a competition heel, for example.
It depends on the dog. So some dogs, like if I have a friend in Chicago who has working line um Rottweilers, and she also was concerned about the neck. But when her Rottweilers are shifted back, their their whole body is shifted back. They're not like this. Like a border collie, when they do a focused heel, there's like a straight line from their chin to their chest, right? And they're not as shifted back as a working line dog. And it depends. A lot of the Malinois, I would say, are a little bit more of that straight line because they're a taller dog. Um, but every dog does it different.
Yeah,
So it
so
really is about
interesting.
watching, what is the handler doing, what is the dog doing, and how can I support it. So that's kind of the way what I specialize in more than anything is taking a movement that the dog is doing that I need to support and then designing an exercise that supports that movement. And then oftentimes it's trial on error is not really the right word exactly, but there's not a, if this, then this always. It doesn't fit in a nice, neat little box. Everybody that comes through my certification program for fitness wants it to fit in a nice box. If this, then this, and if this, then this,
Right.
and this, and then, we put it all together. But it really, really depends on the dog. So like I could have 3 border collies say that do agility, and the exercises I choose for each one of those dogs might be different. So even though I teach a monthly fitness program where I provide a balance plan that people can, adjust from, that is not always the best way to do fitness because the exercises are general and not designed specifically for your dog. But really the big thing with fitness is the variety of what you do is really important. So you can't, like if I said to you, Leanne, okay, you're doing focus healing with your dog, you need to do, here's some exercises. Those exercises then need to be changed about 3 weeks later so that you are strengthening the muscles in a different way, or you are moving the dog's body in a different way to support that movement. You can't do the same thing all the time, which is also frustrating for people because they don't have me sitting in their living room telling them what to do. So,
Right.
that's why private lessons are so popular. But also I think it's very, very easy for handlers to do the same thing all the time because they don't have to train anything different, right? Fitness is one of those things where it's really, really important to keep changing things up. It's just like if you were a elite athlete, you wouldn't do the same exercises every day.
Even a regular person going to the gym,
Right.
you've gotta change it up and challenge,
And you got
your
to
muscles
cross
differently.
train. Like a runner might also swim
Mhm.
or might also, well, obviously they generally lift weights, but they're going to do something else, not just run. Or, a swimmer's not just going to swim. They're going to do things to strengthen their body. They're going to do things to stabilize and balance everything out.
And,
So
you'd mentioned the certified canine strength and conditioning that you're a coach, a
mhm.
CSCC coach. And did you get that certification in North Carolina at their state university? You
I
teach there as
created that
well?
certification. No, that's
Oh,
my certification. I created it.
oh,
North
wow.
Carolina State accredits the program. So,
That's cool.
so
So,
like we have a lab coming up. I think we have one in June that is online, and then there's one in Portland in July. And at my facility, I actually teach out of a rehab clinic, but it's a really big clinic, so I can teach the CSCC program there. And in August I go back to Korea. So
wow. How long is that flight?
it depends, but about 12 hours.
Okay.
If I go through Seattle, it's about I think it's 10 hours. If I go through San Francisco, it adds 2 hours to the trip.
Fun.
It just depends on what day I have to be there. Like last time I went, they literally had me scheduled to talk in front of a group of 100 people about 3 hours after I landed.
Ooh.
So it was literally like land, shower, go talk. Susanna keeps me busy when I'm there.
So much pressure. Yeah, you're not hydrated and awake.
Yeah, it was just that trip was just one of those ones where I ended up going through San Francisco because I needed to get there in the morning. So it just added a couple hours to the trip. I did take a dog with me that time though.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And on your website too, was it Fitness Monthly subscription?
Yep. That's
That
on
sounds
my
kind of cool.
Yep, that was the program I was talking about where I design a fitness plan, a balance plan every month. And people, if you're a worker, you can submit video on how to, do the exercises better, things like that. I've taught that program. I think this is the 5th year in a row. The first 4 years, I designed the programs. This year, actually hired 4 people to design 3 programs each. And then I come in and put my spin on their exercises and review their videos and my
Fun.
videos, and then they still get the write up. So they're getting a little bit more because they're getting kind of a more thought process than just mine, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. Because like you
Right.
said, you have to change it up too.
Mhm. Yep.
So
And it's always fun to see what other people are doing out there, if that makes sense. My client in Korea did 3 months worth of fitness plans, and everybody's been really enjoying his plans. And I have a client in New Zealand that is designing 3 plans. She's a CSCC as well. Actually, all of them are. And I have an agility instructor that's also a fitness instructor in New Mexico that is did the first 3 months, and then I have a CSCC friend actually that also breeds mini American Shepherds in Canada who's doing the last 3 months.
so it sounds like for me, in dog sports, I have my Malinois, Mondioring, dock diving. I would probably be a good, clientele for signing up
Absolutely.
for something like that. Okay.
Yep.
Or do you
Yep.
get
Or
a
even
lot of,
private lessons because you're doing different things with your dogs, and the fitness required for each of those things is a little bit different, and so it'd
Mhm.
be kind of like molding them together. But if you were somebody who's done a little bit of fitness and wants more variety, like there's a client that I'm thinking of right now that does my fitness class every year, and she does a lot of other fitness classes as well, but she wants the variety. She doesn't want to think about the variety. She wants somebody to give it to her. So, and her dogs are basically physically fit. They haven't been injured. They're doing agility, and she's just trying to keep them that way. So the monthly fitness class is perfect for her because she already, she nerds out a little bit also on the training side. So, so I don't have to tell her how to train targeting, for instance. She's already done all of that. Um, the program itself is not designed to teach you how to do the exercises per se. It presents the exercises, and then if you have questions about how to train it or questions about how to do it better, then that's what you get in the feedback that I give. But I also have, you mentioned the self-guided courses. I
Mhm.
have like the targeting classes there and the foundation classes there
The healing?
to give you all of that information. So oftentimes, if somebody is really struggling, I might send them to the foundation class or the targeting class, because then they can grab all of that, whatever targeting information that they need. If it's, individual feet or front foot targeting or rear foot targeting, if they, buy that class, then they get all of it. They get side feet targeting, they get nose, chin, bridge hold, every targeting you can possibly, every body part you can imagine is in there.
And do you find that folks like sign up and they're trying to help their older dog to maybe maintain muscle tone?
Yep. Yep. Oftentimes they will start and do a few private lessons with me, and then they will do the monthly class after that, after they've kind of figured out how to get started and how to get going. Some people, a lot of my clientele, interestingly enough, been with me for quite a few years. So a lot of people that come in kind of raw, I would say, like fitness is new to them. I do try to steer them either towards private lessons or the monthly, or not the monthly, the targeting and foundation class, just to get kind of the skills that they need out of the way. Now, I can teach those skills as we go, right? Like if we were doing private lessons and say we needed a folding down, and your dog knew a sit and then down, I'm going to teach that on the fly. We're going to say, if I need that, I'm going to put it as homework with the previous plan and then be like, okay, train your dog to do this. It doesn't matter to me whether it's on cue or lured or however you do it, as long as you get the position that I'm looking for.
Mhm.
And then, um, And then the next plan, we're going to incorporate that exercise, as a repetitious or that movement as a repetitious exercise, rather than, trying to kind of throw the dog under the bus from the get go. I do like, I do like to start all dogs on stable equipment or platforms. I always tell people if you're gonna do fitness with your dog, you need to have at least 2 platforms. I can do a lot with 2 platforms and never use balance equipment until way later. So so it doesn't take a lot of equipment. It just takes a little bit of ability to train your dog so that it makes it more efficient for you. So like, for instance, Leanne, you're a busy person. You have a couple of dogs. You're doing podcasts. You're helping people around. If you were my client, it would be you might say, hey, Bobbie, I have 15 minutes every other day that I can spend on this. So like, how can you maximize my 15 minutes? Well, part of the way I do that is by teaching you the targeting skills so that you don't have to spend time getting the dog on. You can just be like, put your rear feet there, put your front feet there.
Right.
And then worry about the rest of it. So, that's one of the most complained about thing is that fitness takes too long. And it's because people can be resistant to just training some basic things that literally will make your life so much easier.
Well, I think you could just do it in your living room while you're watching like Grey's Anatomy. So
Sure.
what about like exercise? Like I took Flirty swimming, I take her for walks, any kind of like outside stuff where she's pulling weight or anything like that. Do you cover?
I do. So I also there's a class on my site. I don't think it's available right now, but it's basically incorporating fitness into your daily walks by using the environment.
I love that.
So it might be using something at a playground structure. It might be using a curb, or it might be using, other things. But
Right.
I have lots and lots of dogs that do multiple sports that I work with. So I would say most of my clientele are sport people. I do have some pet dog clients, but I'll be honest and say a lot of my pet dog clients, I handpick them by if they're bringing me a puppy because I like puppies.
Puppies are fun and cute.
And with puppies, I can affect their whole life by developing that neurological pathway early, right? So I love working with puppies. And I'm a dog trainer at heart. So I like the dog training part of it. And I have a lot of clients that come to me that are having training challenges somewhere else. Like for instance, I had a client that it was a Portuguese water dog. She was training obedience and she was complaining to me that her dog, when she got the dumbbell out, literally positioned itself the furthest place in the room away from her and wouldn't touch it. And I said, well, can we try something different? Like she came to me for fitness, but she happened to mention this. So I said, well, let's try something else. And so I trained, to coin Sarah Brewski's phrase, a thing in a thing. I trained this dog to pick something up and put it in a bowl. And then I varied the objects. Like here's a rock. Here's a rubber covered rock. Here's a chip clip. Here's a ball. Here's a this and here's a that. And here's the dumbbell. And dog picked it up, brought it right back. No problem. And so not that what I did was magical. It was just different than what she was doing. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So I just offered a different solution because what they were doing is they were trying to do a forced hold. And that dog was like, no, that's not going to work for me. And the instructor that she had didn't have any other tools in her toolbox. And so I just offered a different tool. And again, it doesn't make it magical or better. It just worked for this dog.
That makes perfect sense.
And that's kind of what I do with fitness, right? Is I take that movement and be like, okay, let me break this down to, we need to do this exercise and this exercise to support this movement. And it's kind of like the puzzle that I like. I never realized I was a puzzle person until I started analyzing exactly how I do this. But I do like the puzzle part of it of you're giving me a problem. And then I'm breaking it down and trying to find that solution. And sometimes the client comes back after the second appointment and I'm like, I think we need to go, this other direction with the exercises for a while, because maybe I saw muscle imbalance that wasn't there. Or maybe, maybe like I had a client, a good example is I had a client that moved to a new house and all of a sudden there was like this right turning that was happening constantly. Down the stairs is a right turn and out the door is a right turn and everything was a right turn. And the dog had a muscle imbalance 4 weeks
Good
after the move.
analysis. Wow.
And so now I'm like, okay, well, now we need to work on going the other way. And it's not about doing more things to the left. It's still about evening it out as much as you can. So another good example of that is like a flyball dog, for instance. They go down, they turn the same direction every time, right? Getting a flyball person to do hit-its on a board going the opposite direction, very difficult.
Yeah.
And I've developed some exercises that don't look like that move the dog in a figure 8 motion. And get the turning and the speed and the hitting that I want to open up the inside of the dog. So when a dog turns to the left, say, the whole left side of their body will tighten up and the muscles on the right side of their body will lengthen, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
What happens over time is if, say you throw a ball and the dog does a hard right, they break. Because now those muscles are too tight to do that movement. So we need to keep them long and lean on both sides. Like a healing dog, we've been talking about healing. The left side of the dog, it will generally overmuscle because even if they're not looking at the handler, they will naturally lean away. So if they're straight up, like that kind of European focus heel, they will still overmuscle the left side of their body.
That is fascinating.
A lot of obedience dogs have right side injuries because of that.
Now, do you find that some of your clients are dog trainers that want to learn, canine conditioning and implement it into their programs with their local clientele?
Yep. I have, I would say a good percentage of the people that go through my certification program for fitness are dog trainers, vet techs, veterinarians, physical therapists, massage therapists, business owners in the dog industry, trying to get more information about how they can incorporate fitness because, it's like the hot thing, or has been, for a while. So, and because it's new, like rehab, rehab's been around for a long time, right? Canine rehab, but I think it's still considered new, which basically means fitness hasn't even been born yet in the eyes of a lot of people. So
I have a number of dog trainer clients that use our software and I meet with them and I coach them and help them. Only one has a fitness program and she came from veterinary, became a dog trainer and, is very passionate about fitness and has an amazing program that's very successful for her dog training business in Missouri. So yeah, maybe you can share a little bit more about that and how that might be something dog trainers could come and learn and start to implement and make extra income or attract, different clientele. Absolutely. Maybe.
One of the things that I think that fitness needs to be used more for is enrichment. And what I mean by that is, say you have a dog that, okay, I'll just give you a weird scenario. Say you have a person that is a busy person that doesn't really understand how to walk their dog, and their dog is highly reactive to other dogs and people. Maybe not aggressive, maybe not biting anybody, maybe not any of those things, maybe just a very big challenge to walk on leash. This is a really great way that fitness can help that dog and that human is by getting the dog exercise within the constraints of their yard and their their house. Now, some people would say, well, that's not very enriching because he never leaves the yard. Well, if he leaves the yard and it's causing that dog concern or anxiety or whatever, then being at home is really the best thing for that dog.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that I do feel um, is a true benefit in fitness, is being able to work with those dogs that are not, that don't want to be in the public. It's not even that they can't, but they don't want to.
I got you.
Like, we
Mm-hmm.
don't need to like put a square peg in a round hole just because we feel like it's kind of like I had a client once. I'm going to segue just a second for a minute. I had a client with a dog that did not really want to hang out with other dogs. They contacted me because they wanted me to make their dog social. And I was like, they're like, well, when we're on a walk and another dog comes, our dogs move over to the other side. And I'm like, perfect.
Right.
That's what everybody dreams about. And they're like, no, we want our dog to be social and want to go see other dogs. And I'm like, no, you're, like, remember when you were in kindergarten and the kid that was sitting at the table by himself coloring? That's your dog. He doesn't need any other people. He wants to be with you. And in my world, that's perfect.
Absolutely.
And there's dogs out there like that. And I think that so many of them get pushed outside their comfort zone, and that's why they end up fighting. So I do think that fitness can be a really big benefit for reactive dogs, for dogs that maybe can't be walked in the neighborhood, but like, I know lots of people that have, they go to people's houses to do fitness with their dogs during the day, things like that. I know lots of daycare places that offer it as an upsell. So drop your dog off for the day, and oh, by the way, they're going to get a workout while they're here, and they videotape the workout, or send the
cute.
pictures or
Yeah.
whatever. And post the pictures on their Facebook page. Every pet dog
Smart.
person out there wants their dog's picture on Facebook. So those are all great selling opportunities, and it's a great advertising for their company.
Excellent. That's gold right there. Yeah.
Well, and if, a lot of dog trainers do like board and train. It's another great place where you can give the dog a break from sit down, stay, walk on a loose leash, whatever the case may be, and give them something fun to do. And you can do obstacle courses, you can do bull to bull games, you can do, there's so many unlimited options that you can do with fitness. And I think that's partly what I love about it so much, is that I can take somebody like you, say you got a puppy and you were trying to get that dog ready for eventually doing Mondioring. The things that I choose for you and your dog are going to be different than the things that you would do as an enriching opportunity for, for a board and train dog. Initially, they might actually look the same because puppies don't really need repetitious exercise. They just need to be exposed to different movements.
Can you talk about these? And you mentioned developing their neurological pathways.
So you can develop it later, but the very best benefit that fitness can do is when you are raising a puppy at a young age, is exposing them to different balance challenges, different surfaces. One of the things that I always tell clients is, I want your dog to see 5 different surfaces a week when they're a puppy. And they shouldn't always be the same. Like, I can find 5 different surfaces in my house right now. I can find carpet, rubber mats, yoga mats. There's bricks right outside my back door. There's grass. There's bark chips. Sure, I have more. But basically, I want them to see 5 different surfaces. If they have the opportunity to swim, I want them to swim when they're young. If they have the opportunity to be on a treadmill, I want them to know that the earth can move underneath their feet. And part of the reason that I want that when they're young is because that develops their neurological pathways. So, like, maybe they learned about the treadmill when they were 3 months old or 6 months old or whatever, and then they don't see it again until they're a year and a half. Their body will be like, huh, I remember this. Wow. And they will acclimate to it a lot faster. I had a dog, actually my border collie. I I didn't realize he was afraid of metal until I was walking on a street when I went to the Penn Vet conference, and he would literally jump off the sidewalk dangerously close to cars to get away from, the on the sidewalks in a downtown area where it has like the opening and they have like storage underneath. It was like a metal.
Like those grates?
Yeah, kind of. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm scared of those too. I
It
get it.
wasn't great. It was flat, but
Okay.
they open up basically
Oh,
storage
yes.
underneath, right?
Uh-huh.
He literally like flew out to the side, and I was like, what just happened? And it made me realize,
Wow.
I don't know if he's ever been on anything. He's also a sound sensitive dog, but I don't know if he's ever been on anything metal before. And so, I used to live right next to a high school that had metal bleachers and, an area that you could go up some metal stairs and across this area.
Yeah, bleachers.
And like every puppy after that has been on the metal stuff. I probably would never have another dog ever that's afraid of metal, but because I had that experience, I'm like, okay, early on, we're going to see metal. I even tell clients now, I'm like, grab some cookie sheets, throw them down.
Yeah.
Like,
lay down some foil, something.
Right. I had a law enforcement dog. We put the decoy in my bathroom in the studio, and it was a slippery floor in there, and that dog hit the brakes. And I was like, fail.
That sucks. Yeah.
You cannot hit the brakes because you're afraid of the floor, buddy. Your job is to bite the bad guy.
Yeah.
So, if they're not exposed, you don't know when that fear is going to come up or when that, oh my God, I've never seen that before, reaction is going to happen. And all we can do is the very best we can do to prepare them.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not that you can't, I don't want you to think that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because that's not true. It just takes a little bit longer for that pathway to develop the older the dog gets.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
So,
How
really
about,
is true when they're a puppy. They're just like a little sponge.
Yes, it's so fun.
Just kind of like when we go to the gym, it's the same with dogs. When we go to the gym and we take a big break from going to the gym, like our body remembers how to do the thing and the muscles come back faster, right? And the strength comes back faster because our body's already done it. So
riding a
it's
bike.
kind of the same thing. Like I used to do a lot of bodybuilding in my early 20s, and I haven't done that in a long time, but when I have gone back to the gym over the years, the strength that I had then comes back a lot faster. My body knows how to do it.
Yeah, muscle memory.
And I mean, muscles don't truly have memory, but yes, it's that neurological pathway is there to be like, yeah, we've done this before. Let's just go ahead and do it again.
Such a common saying. I'm like, muscle memory, but
I know it is, but they don't really have memories.
I never really thought about it that way. Now, how about with young dogs and puppies? Maybe some don't do that because they're growth plates and that kind of stuff.
It's a tricky subject. But my stance basically is this. No repetitive concussive activity. So does that mean that the dog should never jump as a puppy? Really doesn't mean that. It means don't put 5 jumps in front of them and do it repetitively, right? I had a little dog that her name is Chaos. She could sit on the floor. She was a toy size mini American Shepherd, and she could jump. So she was 13 pounds, 13 inches tall. She's little. She could jump up from a sit and touch my nose with her nose. And I had slippery floors. So, as a puppy, once I realized she was going to do that every day when I got home, I just got lower. So she had no reason to jump. Right. Am I going to take the jumping out of her? Sure not. Not going to happen. I'm just going to reduce the number of times that she does it in a row by getting down to her level. Not everybody can do that. So, other things that I do in those situations, I just have clients have food by the door so that they can toss food on the floor. But I think the biggest thing that happens is, like you say, I'm going to pick on agility just a little bit. You take that agility dog and they're doing sequencing without jumping. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, let's just add some jumping in. And, once you get up to, anything more than, say 4 or 5 jumps, that's repetitive. And if you do 4 or 5 jumps 5 times, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not because, there's lots of information out there. And so like one of the things, for instance, that they tell older people is that they need to walk and they need to get exercises to keep their bones strong. Like exercise does strengthen our bones, right? But in a young puppy, that concussive exercise can also damage their growth plate. So if it damages their growth plate, then now you have a shorter leg. Like that's just what happens, right? Now you've damaged the bone's ability to keep up with the growth. So that's what we're trying to avoid. And we're also trying to avoid ligaments and tendons only regenerate with scar tissue. They do not regenerate in the same elasticity that they had before. So if you damage ligaments and tendons at a young age, they are damaged forever. And that's the other thing that we're really trying to avoid with young dogs is we're trying to set them up for success, not failure. So we want them to be able to do the job that they're doing with their human, whatever that is. If it's running, if it's agility or Mondio or PSA or whatever they're doing, or law enforcement, we want them to have a long career of whatever they want to do with their human, and not break because we couldn't wait to do certain things when they were young. But again, they're still going to be a dog, and I'm a huge proponent of just let them be a dog. Like in the case with my dog, that did not stop her from jumping when other people came. And everybody's not going to get down on one knee, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't have a revolving door of people coming in and out of my house all the time, so it wasn't a big deal. But even when I'm doing just like puppy jumping is what I call it, I teach them to jump from a Cato board to a Cato board. And then I put a bar so that the concept of going over a bar is there. It's just the same height as a Cato board, for instance. So I expose puppies to jumping in a non-repetitive fashion because I want their body to understand how to lift the front of their body up and power over something versus developing bad habits as a young puppy by pushing at the ground and going over a jump. So I do very low repetition jumping from a standpoint of I'm just exposing them to you can sit here and jump to there. But we're not going to do it a whole bunch of times.
No, when I get my next puppy, what program, like what should I sign up for to be able to have so much fun with my puppy and learn all these things from you?
I mean, private lessons is really the best way.
And you can do it virtually?
Yep, I do it via Zoom.
Awesome.
Yep. And part of the online lessons is I'm constantly evaluating the dog's posture to make sure that they are they're improving their posture along the way, but also like how did their posture start? Like for instance, with sporting dogs, as you know, you have like your typical position changes. Is the dog kicking back to a full stand when they kick back from a sit? 90% of dogs do not, and it screws up all positions after that because if their rear legs are not far enough back, they slide forward to go to a down, which makes handlers crazy.
It so makes us crazy.
But it's because they didn't teach the kickback stand correctly to begin with. So basically the dog moved their back feet. They went, yep, that's good. Instead of maybe you could take one more step.
Wow. Okay. Yep. That would definitely be a private lesson. I can think a lot of French-ring, Mondioring, and obedience people will be signing up for because I had not thought of that. I've definitely practiced a lot of positions with my dog.
It's really also position changes, in my opinion, is about the rear feet, not about the front feet. If you can get the rear feet to know where they're supposed to be, the front feet will stay still.
I think the challenge for me was I was so fixated on keep your front feet still. And I was just like happy that the front feet were still and they did the move. And I'm like, okay, we're good.
Then when you ask them to down, they're like this.
Yeah.
Trying to down because their rear feet didn't go back far enough. and yes, it's a vicious cycle, but these are the kind of observations that I've made over the 20 years that I've been doing this, right? Is I have watched so many dogs do position changes and move, and I've been able to kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of profile certain things where I see that mistake over and over and over and over and over again. And maybe 5 years ago, I didn't know how to fix it, but I do now,
Yep,
right?
I
It's
gotcha.
because I've tried this and this and this and this and this. Now I'm like, oh, this really hit on it, right? There's some jumping exercises that didn't exist until Cato boards came onto the world.
Hmm.
And now I can fix jumping so somewhat easily, because it's really about teaching the dog how to lift the front of their body up. Most dogs have no
Hmm.
clue how to do that. It is the heaviest part of their body. Their chest and their head are the heaviest
Yep.
pieces. And it is harder for some dogs than others. I was working with a dog earlier today, trying to get the dog to shift its weight back as the handler kind of moved up to show, dog is facing this way, handler's facing the dog. And I had her kind of walking towards the dog a little bit. And we basically wanted the dog to do this and shift its weight back. But what it did was it did that and shifted forward. So trying to get that dog to use its rear end has been a little bit more of a challenge because he's real married to using the front.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do private lessons with my next puppy for sure. Wow. Wow. You are a wealth of information. Okay, so obviously you've got a lot of tips and amazing, experience, a long career in this. So we have about 10 minutes left. Can you share some like gold nuggets for dog trainers that would help them with their business?
Like I said, I think one of my biggest gold nuggets is to not have all your eggs in one basket. Really, you can, I know a lot of people think I do this one thing really well, so I'm going to do this one thing. But I'll use this as a really good example is, when I started online, there wasn't a Fenzi Dog Sports Academy, and there wasn't, all of these other classes available. There wasn't, also because we've only been teaching a certification program for fitness since 2015. So also there wasn't anybody else teaching fitness out there. So I had an edge, right? Because I was the only one teaching it.
Yeah.
But then then now I've trained a bunch of people to compete against me, which is great. It grows the business, right? Grows the awareness. It grows all the things. And so now when you go to sign up for a fitness class, you have choices to make. You have lots of choices. You have, you can take a class where you don't have to interact with the instructor. You can take a class where you do video, or you can take a class, or you can do private lessons. And so lots and lots of options out there. But if, say, all of my income was online when everybody else started teaching, now I'm not the new kid on the block anymore, right? Like there are other new kids on the block.
Yep.
And so what I find in this business is that where clients come from and what is popular, it shifts a little bit as time goes on, and if you don't shift with it, then that can be problematic, for paying bills and all those kinds of things. So like there was a time where, and things have shifted a lot since COVID as well.
Yes,
So
definitely.
the last year of COVID was probably one of my biggest online,
Yeah.
years, probably for a lot of other people as well, right? And then we went through that stage where everybody's like, I'm not doing anything online anymore because I just did that for 2 years and not doing it, And then now I think it's picking back up again in a lot of ways. But also, I think a lot of things about fitness, for instance, is that fitness doesn't win any titles, not directly. And so fitness often ends up taking a backseat to other training.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So for me, being able to teach my certification program, being able to be a KPA faculty member and teaching that certification program, kind of, it fills those baskets, if that makes sense. So you might, like, I have clients, probably most of my Portland clients are actual dog trainers that are bringing their dogs to me, because the dog trainers that are doing the sports
Yep,
bring their dogs to me.
definitely.
But and most of my online students are that way too. But like, I could not earn a living on my in-person clients here in Portland, partly because I travel to teach. So, like, for instance, I just came off of 3 months of being gone 2 weeks out of every month. And so I can't maintain good clientele here in Portland if I'm gone all the time. My Zoom lessons can be done anywhere. So sometimes I do those on the road, and sometimes clients wait until I get back. But I do travel as well. Like, so traveling and online classes and everything works together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think too, like, you're really, like, you have good intuition, like when you reached out to Daisy Peel and then got your courses online, and have the relationship with the North Carolina University. Like, it's like you've luckily found the perfect blueprint, probably because you were paying attention. For me, just as an example to help maybe other dog trainers too, like, I've been doing this since I was 17. No
You're doing it
spring
a long time,
chicken,
yeah.
and
Mhm,
you kind of get like burned out on it.
mhm.
And so I started playing around with software, and I
Yep.
realized that there's a lot of software for dog trainers once the client becomes a client, get the vaccines, get the contract signed, but there wasn't software for the front end of the business to help manage the leads and, collect and capture the phone calls and help them with like that sales journey. And so that's what I built. And that's maybe an example of not putting all the eggs in one basket, even though it's outside of training dogs,
Mhm.
but it also helps me to, have my dog training business and have this other thing so I can maybe retire into the other thing and live full time in my RV and move around and,
Right, and be
have
able
that
to,
journey.
exactly, like, sometimes, you know, you what do they say, that you, as you age, you wanna work smarter, not harder, right? But it doesn't always work out that way. But, like, I know a lot of dog trainers that work with board and trains, or one that I'm thinking of right now does a lot of separation anxiety. She's a, certified separation anxiety person, and like, you get, you know a whole bunch of those over and over and over and over
Mm,
and over again. And yes, you're helping dogs, and it's great, don't get me wrong, but it does become sometimes challenging to keep doing it. I used to have a dog trainer friend that she only worked with aggression cases,
uh,
and she would say to me, um, everything's great until the client signs the contract. Yes, I'll do A, B, and C. And then you get that phone call that their kid got bit in the face
mhm.
again. And she's like, and I'm not responsible, but I feel responsible because I designed the plan to prevent that from happening. Right. And so it's very easy, I think, in those situations to get burned out,
Yeah.
because I think one of the biggest complaints out there about clients is that, they don't listen, they don't do their homework, they don't do any of those things. Right. I always tell my clients, I'm not going to beat you with a noodle. If you don't do your homework, we're just going to likely have to review the exercises that we did before,
Yep.
and then maybe tweak them here or there. But I get that life happens. Like, life happens to me all the time. So you just have to be open to other
Yeah, I
options.
think staying open is
Hmm.
really what you're good at, and I was able to manage too in my life. Staying open and listening to those opportunities.
Yep.
You seem like a very creative thinker. All the different great programs you get ideas, I'm assuming, and you're like, "Yep, we're going to do this program."
Hmm.
So maybe dog trainers that are out there that are like, I might have this, like, plan B. And I think that's what COVID did to a lot of us too. Like, we got shut down because we were in California and we had
Right.
our dog training operation in San Diego, and we had to close unless we were working with like firemen and doctors and
Right. Right.
stuff.
Right.
So we could take their dogs. But yeah, we better have a plan B. And that's when I created software, and I'm like, I'm going to do
Yep.
this thing. So yeah, definitely having that plan B is, and staying open to listening.
Well, and like I said, I think that in my business for sure, like things evolve over time. Like I feel like, some years my online business is more, and some years like
Mm,
right now my in-person business is not as heavy as it has been in years past. Even with COVID, I was busier in person because I wasn't traveling, right? But I've talked to some other people who travel to teach and all that stuff, and they're like, yeah, all of a sudden we're traveling more. And I kind of like was gearing down before COVID, was gearing down towards not traveling as much, and now all of a sudden I'm traveling more consistently, I would say. Like now I literally have every February, March, and April, I'm gone 2 weeks out of every those 3 months every year. Now I'm teaching the Karen Pryor program in Korea,
wow.
which wasn't a goal, but because they do the CSCC program, and all of that, they wanted to do it. And their clientele, or not their clientele, but their employees, the owner of the company came through my program, and then now she's putting all of her employees through the program.
That's cool.
Um, so yeah, I mean, things evolve as they evolve, and you either evolve with them or you get left behind.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember a couple of dog trainers, they're like, I can't believe you're going to do, um, a dog trainer certification. You don't need that. Because I've been training dogs without a certification for a while, right?
Right.
And I'm like, but I want it. Like, I want it for me. And it was the best choice for what I teach. Like I teach fitness, I teach targeting, I teach all of those things. I have a lot of clientele that use a multitude of methods of dog training, and I think one of the things that I get the most from people is that I don't shame people because of the methods that they use. Like they don't need them for fitness.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So, if I feel that they're being unfair to their dog while they're in front of me, I will say
Yeah.
that I feel that they're being unfair. But I've had clients say, like, I have a balance trainer that I'm thinking of right now that, she actually pulled me aside and said, "You've made me a better dog trainer." And I'm like, "How did I do that?" And she said, "Because you opened my mind to being able to train my dog to do things in different ways
Hmm.
that I wouldn't have thought of."
Absolutely.
Um,
I totally get
and
that.
and then she was able to like put that to her clients. And again, I'm not trying to say that I'm magical or anything like that. It was just because we had such an open discussion between us about what we were training, how we were training it, all of those things. Neither one of us was shaming the other one. We were just talking, you
Yeah.
know. I helped her rehab her Malinois back to sport. We literally walked hills. I went with her. We walked hills um, that was part of the rehab. And it was part of a plan that the rehab person had put together, and I kind of expanded on, and we got her dog back to sport. So
That's so cool.
we did a lot of talking during that time. But anyway, the point is if you don't have these open conversations, you can't learn from each other. Like I can't learn from you if I'm not open to what you have to say, and I have no reason not to be.
Yeah. And then having all those different, tools in the toolbox is going to help
Yeah.
you with just maybe one dog in a year. But yeah, definitely.
It doesn't matter, just like I said, those tools. One of the things I have with my KPA students sometimes is I'm like, you got to trust the process and do what the program says to learn it. But don't start questioning things right away because then you stop being open.
Yeah.
You stop
Hmm.
being open to receiving the information. So, and I think that's one of the problems, and I'm sorry, it's a little off topic. One of the problems out there in the dog training world is that we need to be more open to discussion amongst ourselves. Like we
It,
need to have more dog trainer groups that can have an open discussion and not be judgy, um,
it's
on the
ego.
internet or in person. Yeah,
Ego.
we need more of that, and we need to be able to like most of my clients here, like I said, are dog trainers, and we all refer within each other because we're
Yep.
open minded, not because not because I'm like, that's a balance train. She's a balance trainer, so I'm not going to refer to her because she's not this. I'm not going to refer to her. Um, you know, I just feel like we just need more open discussion,
Yeah, I feel like
and that
dog
helps everybody.
there has been like a shift with dog trainers where with Facebook and sports where we're commingling and networking and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's like there are people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely like, network and work with other dog trainers and get ideas and share and stay open. I was thinking like a big, obstacle is ego when you think, no, I'm good at this and I'm perfect and I don't need this.
I don't need anybody
That's
else. Yeah,
ego. No, be
it is.
open and like we're always learning and evolving and that's
Right.
amazing.
Well, and some of those filling the baskets, some of that stuff can come from those discussions. So you have to be open to the
Yes.
discussions to 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 be able to latch onto those different baskets that you can do. And I know there's a lot of people out there trying to add fitness as one of their baskets, to their business, and there are ways to do it. It's just, like I said, I do a lot of consulting as well, as far as like there's a daycare center in California. I help them develop their curriculum for 3 fitness classes that they offer all the time. And again, another one in Wisconsin and a couple other places. But, part of what I do is really education to make sure that you're offering safe and effective exercises for dogs. And so if you're going to add that as a service, you really should know a little bit about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think it would be a very successful program in certain cities maybe, but I think it would be fun. Like I wish I had your life, like to really focus on that with the dogs. Like I just, yeah, it's amazing. It's wonderful.
Well, there's a place in New York. I always talk about Jairus. Jairus Hightower has martial arts, and he might be somebody you want to talk to, actually. He has built his business around that fitness should be involved in all of his classes. So they have like 5 or 6 treadmills, and they tread dogs, and they do fitness things, and they do obedience and manners and other things as well. But he feels that fitness can be a part of everything that they do.
Yeah.
So it's and I mean, obviously, it's in a very high dense area as well, so that's helpful. But sometimes, I have a client in California that services this giant apartment complex that they allow dogs, and like that's where all of her clientele come from, because she can literally have dogs dropped off with her, right there at the center, and she can work out their dogs or teach them manners or whatever the goal is, and then they go home. She can drop them off right there. She's right there, like literally her studio is within the complex.
That's cool.
So, like, it's just another avenue that people don't necessarily look at, but sometimes you can find those sort of great opportunities when you're not looking. But again, she found that out because she had a client just like, you should come here, you should do this, and she did it, and she's been super successful.
That's awesome.
So again, I feel like we just need to be more open as humans to discussions that are happening, and be able to help each other.
Yes.
There's enough clients out there for everybody. It's just a matter of funneling them in the right direction.
Yes. Definitely fantastic advice. Such a great conversation today, Bobbie. I really, really appreciate your time and just all the
Yeah, no problem.
information you shared. Could you share a little bit about where people can find you?
Sure. I have 2 websites. One is Bobbie Lyons Canine Campus. That's where my online classes are. Probably the biggest mistake people make is they spell my name wrong. So I'll spell it for you. It's Bobbie, and Lyons is Lyons. I also have positive-performance.com, and positive is spelled PAWS. ITIVE, and then a hyphen performance.com. That's where you'll find some information about canine fitness and about private lessons and Zoom lessons, things like that. I'm Bobbie Lyons on Facebook. I am Bobbie Lyons on Instagram. um, it's all kind of the same.
Yep.
But yes, if you type in my name, it will come up, and I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has. Either you can send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I'll be honest and say that I don't check the messages often enough. I should. I just forget. So if you send me one on there, it might take me a little longer to get to you. But regular email is perfect, which is just Bobbie@positive-performance.com.
Fantastic. So thank you so much, Bobbie. I so appreciate this. It was so much fun. And again, I'm Leanne from Pet Biz Experts. With all the names and the spellings you were doing there, I just got to say we are actually in a rebrand. Like, we're going to change our name because we've had some folks use our name, and people are like, "What's your name again? It's too generic." So we are rebranding, and actually Karen Wright, who introduced us, she is doing my new website, and it's Automation Dogs, so automationdogs.com. But if you need to find me right now, it's petbizexperts.com. And thank you everyone so much for listening.
Thanks for having me.